Hey guys, Ed here, bringing you part 15 of the Archer series. Before we get into it, I would like to say, April Fools everybody! Yes, part 14 wasn't the only video I recorded. I lied. But that aside, I would like to thank you again. It was a long and painful month in between recovering and working, especially not being able to eat proper food for the majority of that time. I lost about 30 pounds in a month and gained 35 in one day. Funny how the human body works, right? With that out of the way, I hope you guys enjoyed the last part. And now, let's get into it.
Fearless.
Where we last left off, after taking out Yami and using her phone to play mind games on Hisashi, Miyuki finally sent the long-awaited text message, and now Izuku found himself face to face with the man himself. The moment Izuku entered the house, all the memories of his past started to come back to him, as he was guided to the kitchen where the food was ready. "Just in time," Inko said, placing the last dish on the table. "Miyuki told me you always get places on time with a minute to spare." "Ma'am, I'm always on time," Izuku said, "especially with a busy schedule like mine." "What sort of busy schedule?" Hisashi questioned. "It's not like you work or anything." "In a matter of fact, I do. Or rather, I make the decisions," Izuku stated, making the rest raise an eyebrow. "Have you ever heard of the Mato Inns or the Mato Constructions in Nie?" "No, I haven't," Hisashi stated, while having a sweat drop. "So what exactly do you do?" "All sorts of things, to be honest," Izuku said, grinning to himself. "But as the name implies, I buy properties and build houses or inns, and then make a good amount of profit. Then, rinse and repeat. What about you? What do you do for a living?" "Have you ever heard of Wyomatics?" Hisashi questioned. "That's where I work." "Oh, you poor thing," Izuku said, acting as if he was concerned. "I heard from some rumors that Wyomatics is going bankrupt. And they say they started to get rid of people. Are you in need of a job?" "No, I'm fine," Hisashi said. "Sweetheart, see if Miyuki is ready, otherwise the food will get cold." Inko left to check on Miyuki as Hisashi glared at Izuku. "So, I hear that you and my daughter are close," Hisashi said. "I want to know how close. Are you by chance dating?" "Yes, we are," Miyuki said, entering the room with Inko. "Dad, let me introduce you to Izuku Mato. He is my boyfriend." Miyuki went to hug Izuku. As they embraced, Izuku was clearly annoyed. With the excuse, Miyuki took Izuku aside to speak privately. "What the hell, Midoriya?" Izuku hissed. "This wasn't part of the deal." "Please, Mato, could you play along for a bit?" Miyuki pleaded. "Mom knows the real reason why you're here, Dad doesn't." "Alright, I'll play along," Izuku said as he leaned in close, as he acted flirtatiously. "But you follow my lead, and then we never speak of it to anyone. Got that?" Miyuki nodded as her face turned into 50 shades of red, as she thought he'd kiss her. And soon after, they returned to the table as they started to enjoy the food prepared by Inko, as awkwardness loomed over them. "So," Hisashi awkwardly started, How far did you two go? What do you mean, Mr. Midoriya? Izuku questioned. We're kids, and we're young and dumb, especially when it comes to that. Hisashi's face contorted, showing fear of his deeds being discovered. Just joking, Izuku stated. I would never put my hands on a young lady without her consent. Don't you agree, Mr. Midoriya? Yeah, you got me there for a moment, Hisashi chuckled, as he calmed down for a moment. I must say, you have good sense of humor. So how are things at school? Inko questioned. You know how things are, Miss Midoriya, Izuku said. The usual. Sometimes me and Miyuki study together. Sometimes she come over to my place while telling you otherwise. And other times after school we just go to a cafe and relax. So, you said that you wouldn't be handsy without her consent, Hisashi stated, almost sounding like a question. I must ask, do you guys do it? Dad, Miyuki squeaked in embarrassment. What kind of question is that? Well, Mr. Midoriya, Izuku started, I'm not the kind of person to kiss and tell, but if we did do it, it concerns us. And if a baby was involved, I'll be the person to take full responsibility. In what way? Hisashi asked. It depends, really, Izuku said. If that were to happen and she doesn't want to see me, I'll just pay for child support. Or if she wants me by her side, I'll simply marry her. Either way, I'm not hurting for money, and I have so much of it, I don't know what to do with it. Oh, really? Hisashi said, intrigued. If that's the case, I don't mind if she gets married to you. In fact, I wouldn't want her marrying anyone but you. Dad! What are you saying? Yuki hissed as her face became red. What? Hisashi questioned. You don't mean to say that you wouldn't want my blessing? Think about it, sweetie. I guess a leech will always be a leech, no matter how much time passes, Izuku smirked, and the mood shifted. Right, Hisashi? Excuse me? Hisashi questioned. Why would you say that? Simple, Hisashi, Izuku calmly stated, while in reality he was smiling. You have no idea how long I've waited for this opportunity. What do you mean? Hisashi questioned, even more confused. I have news about your long-lost son, Izuku started. It was roughly about 10 years he's gone missing, right? Yes, it has, Inko said. But nobody was able to find him. Until I showed up, Izuku stated. Or rather, when Miyuki found out I knew about his whereabouts this entire time. If you've known, why didn't you tell us? Hisashi demanded. Don't you think we have the right to know where he is or how he's doing? But Hisashi, I've been told that you deliberately abandoned him, Izuku said. But I'm sure you of all people know how easy it is to find information. As long as you flash people with enough money, right? I'm hurt, Hisashi said, acting into character. How can you think so little of me? And why would I get rid of my own son? I think we both know the answer to that question. Now do we? Izuku said. Would you like me to elaborate, or did you realize your ship is sinking? If you have no proof, I would like for you to leave, Hisashi said with a stern voice. All right, Izuku started, as he pulled out some documents. Where do I start? Hisashi glanced at the documents in Izuku's possession and gulped. Would you like me to start from the guy at the stand where you left your son to play as you left to get drunk at a bar? Izuku said, trailing off. Or would you like me to tell you about your increasing debt? Debt? Inko questioned. What debt? Oh, Hisashi. Does that mean that your family doesn't know about this? Izuku questioned sarcastically. Was that the reason you want to collect the money from your son's life insurance? Hisashi felt that Izuku knew about his predicament, but on how much he didn't know. Maybe he was willing to help. Yes, it's a bit embarrassing, Hisashi admitted. I wanted to collect on his life insurance so that I can get rid of the debt and move on. Don't you mean to pay that partially and skip town? Izuku questioned. You can relax. Your debt has been paid. What do you mean skip town? Inko questioned. Hisashi, what are you hiding? Hisashi was trying to formulate a believable lie, but Izuku answered for him. A lot of things, if you know where to look, Izuku said. Now, before we get into it, I spoke with your boss, and I paid off your debt. Really? Hisashi said, confused, only for him to realize what that meant. I know things don't happen for free. What's the catch? Simple, Izuku stated. Come clean to your family and tell them everything. What happens if I don't? Hisashi questioned. It's my word against yours. Really? Izuku said. What if I were to say that a certain Yami Kagekiri exposed you? What would you say to that? I don't know what you're talking about, Hisashi said as he was getting annoyed. Shut that trap of yours, you know nothing. Alright, Izuku said. I'll have the recorder do the talking for me. How's that? Hisashi paled, and before he could swipe it away, Izuku pressed play. Where do I start? Yami stated. It has been about 11 years we've been together. Even though he has a family, he planned to take the money from the insurance after he killed his wife and daughter, just like he did to his son. We also planned on going to the US and live there after everything was dealt with. Cheating! Ooh, Izuku said, acting surprised. That's strike one. As he let the recording play again, while Inko gave Hisashi a glare. I spoke with Chisaki, and that's why I got in contact with you, Archer stated as he trailed off. And, just so we're clear, he did hire me. And I want to ask you, do you know where is the 3 million Hisashi owes to the Chisaki? Or rather, what he did with it. But before that, how did he acquire that much money? Keep in mind, my actions depend on your cooperation, so choose wisely. He took the money from the sales, Yami said while lowering her head. He used counterfeit money to trick Chisaki up to until 3 weeks ago, where he was given an ultimatum, either the money or his life. Strike two, Izuku said. Lying and stealing. I definitely want to know how this ends. As Izuku let the recording continue. Interesting, Archer speculated. I never knew he could scheme like this, which begs the question, did he ever love his family? Of course not, Yami mentioned. He had a quirkless son, then his wife became fat and unattractive. His daughter wants to find his brother's corpse. That not even the police could even find. So he decided to ditch them. And I believe that's strike 3, Izuku said. I'm sorry, Hisashi. You know what that means, right? Inka Miyuki wanted to know more, but Hisashi didn't pay any mind, as he heard the recorder continue, only to hear the question that he wanted to know, why did it seem that Archer went after him? I am, Archer said. Do you want to know why? Why? She asked curiously. Unfortunately, I'm his offspring, Archer started. Nobody could find my corpse because I'm still alive. Nobody could track me down because I look different. And I dropped the Midoriya last name. And I go by Mato, like the family that took me in and taught me all I know. What? Yami managed to say, as the color on her face faded as if she saw death in the face. No, it can't be. You're supposed to be dead. Let me tell you a fun little fact, Archer said, leaning in. People die when they're killed, not when they're abandoned. Because what you might consider trash, it could be someone else's treasure, and then come back to bite you. Yami was panicking as she knew who Archer was and what that meant for her. She tried to run, but her legs were still numb, causing her to fall. She tried to crawl. Oh my, Archer said sarcastically. You do know that curiosity killed the cat. But I'll give you a chance. Run and don't look back. Because I'm going to count from 10 backwards. And that's the time you'll have to run away. Yami tried her best to crawl faster as she heard Archer starting to calm down. She made it on her feet as she started to run while using the walls for support, but she looked around. She had no idea where the exit was. She just stood there, giving up. 1 and 0. Any last words? Archer asked as he manifested his bow and arrow. It seems that you gave up. I did, Yami said. As for my last words, go to hell. With pleasure, Izuku said, letting his arrow fly into Yami's throat, killing her, as he picked up the recorder from his pocket. Now, Hisashi, how fast are you? Can you outrun an arrow traveling 2 kilometers per second? Or can you protect against my endless numbers of blades? I don't care for the answer. You're going to die anyways. It can't be, Hisashi said as his fear grew. You're my son? Biological? Yes, Izuku said, getting into the Midoriyas out of shock. You guys still need a minute? Hisashi, Inko shouted. Is this all true? Inko, Hisashi said, trying to get Inko's attention. I can explain. While you're at it, Izuku said, getting everyone's attention. Why don't you explain the fact that Miyuki was on trigger, and where you've been injecting her? Not to mention how you enjoyed using her as your fuck toy, just because you assumed that you would have gotten away with it with your big plan on Monday. You, Hisashi spouted. You insolent wretch. Yes, Izuku said, feeling very proud. The prodigious son has returned. Did you miss me, father? You, Hisashi spouted in anger. Have you been plotting this entire time? To be honest, Izuku started. No, not really. All this was by chance. By chance? Hisashi said, almost having an aneurysm. You don't stumble into things by chance. Like I said, Izuku repeated himself. I had no intentions of involving myself into the sorry excuse of a family until I read the last written words of the man that adopted me. If it wasn't for that, I would never call that day. You mean... Enko trailed off. Yes, Izuku started. All the information I gave you over the phone was accurate. The drugs, the rape. I told you so, didn't I? I'd make sure it was in your best interest. Wait, Miyuki said. Since when did you get in contact with Mom? The day you told me that she went looking for me, Izuku said. You know, right after Heroes vs. Villains mock battles. I took you in the infirmary, remember? Not really, Miyuki answered. Oh right, I forgot, Izuku started. I knocked you out and inspected your body for injection marks. And then I noticed that your hymen was broken. You saw me naked? Miyuki said, embarrassed. How could you? Big deal. It's not like I haven't seen any naked woman before. We can settle the small stuff later, Izuku said, not caring for his sister's complaints. Now, I will deal with the main course. Hisashi was about to sneak away, but Izuku stopped him in his tracks. I have only one thing to ask you, Father, Izuku said with disgust in his voice. Did you pray today? This can't be, Hisashi said desperately. I'll call Chisaki himself, and then we'll see. As Hisashi was calling Chisaki's phone, out of nowhere a loud explosion happened. While Hisashi tried his best to call Chisaki, Izuku turned on the TV to the local news, which were reporting an explosion nearby, relating to gas leaks. Hisashi recognized it as a Yakuza hideout. What the hell? Hisashi questioned. This can't be a coincidence. You're right, it isn't, Izuku said. Everyone in that building were dead about 3 to 4 days, if not more. Sometimes I lose track of time, especially if it's not my own. So wait, the messages? Hisashi trailed off in disbelief. It was you this entire time? Yes, Izuku said with a sinister voice. It was me this whole time. You've been telling me everything, and in return I was playing around, because you aren't a threat. Not just that, but you're also dumb. It can't be, Hisashi said while having a meltdown. This whole time? Ladies, Izuku said, I suggest you look away or go in your rooms and pack your belongings. You don't want to see what will happen. Trust me. Miyuki already knowing where this was going, she dragged Inko to her room as Izuku was left with Hisashi. With the girls gone, I guess it's time for a father and son talk, don't you think? Izuku said, thinking about his past. But I suppose I should thank you first. You are insane, Hisashi said, trying to back away. In what way do I deserve your gratitude? If it weren't for you leaving me at the festival, I would never have met Seiichi Mato, nor my beloved Ayumi, Izuku said. So because of that, I'll give you mercy. Tell your piece, and I'll make it painless. Fuck you, Hisashi spouted. You're nothing but a fucking worthless nobody. Thank you. But I don't swing that way, Izuku said. And the feeling is mutual. But mind telling me about this sketchy quirk doctor? Quirk doctor? Hisashi questioned. Yeah, what about him? Tell me all you know, and who knows? Izuku said, trailing off. Maybe, just maybe, you can make it out of here alive. And take the money from the house insurance. And I'll also pitch in with about 2 million. How's that sound? Why give me an out? Hisashi questioned. What's the catch? Like I said, I'll show some mercy, Izuku said, manipulating Hisashi a bit. And you have the information I want, so let's just say I'll give you an out. Very well, Hisashi said, taking the bait. The quirk doctor we took you to when you were a child. He does experiments, and he did say something about duplicating quirks. Is that so? Deku said, intrigued. What kind of experiments? Dealing with dead bodies, mutating them with a lot of quirks, Hisashi said, spilling the information. And I must say, the freaks the doctor makes are impressive. He failed the entire underground hospital layout with those things. You don't say, Deku said, very interested. One more thing. Have you been there in person? Yeah, of course I have. The doctor pays a lot, Hisashi said. Very well, I'm a man of my word, Izuku said as he got a blank check and wrote on it, Here's a check for 2 million. Hisashi was thrilled, and before he could say anything, he was stabbed in the legs, as he was pinned to the ground. Hisashi started to yell in agony. What the fuck? Hisashi exclaimed. I thought you'd let me live. Oh, I lied, Izuku said as he manifested more blades. I'll enjoy making you experience pain and torment beyond anything you could possibly imagine. I will tear your body apart, piece by piece, as you beg for a mercy that will never come. You backstabbing coward, and you call yourself a hero? Hisashi questioned. They'll find out it was you. I don't care, Izuku said. I'll become the hero that the world needs, not these fakes going around in spandex, begging for money and attention. You're nothing more than a fucking hypocrite, Hisashi said. You don't care for people. You do it for yourself alone. And that's why you'll always be alone. Just like me. I'm nothing like you. I'm far from it, Izuku said, having enough of Hisashi's words, and then ending it for good. He turned to Inko and Miyuki, only to see Inko crying. Before Izuku could explain, Inko hugged him. My boy! My baby! Inko said as she hugged Izuku. You're alive! You've grown so much! Yeah, I guess I have, Izuku said, scratching the back of his head. Did you guys already packed everything? Wait, we had to? Miyuki questioned. Yes, unless you want to live in this house and clean up the mess, Izuku said, pointing at the mess. And the repairs will cost a lot once I'm done. Don't tell me. Is it going to be like that house on TV? Yep, Izuku started. There are terrible gas leaks happening around town. You should get whatever you need and leave what you don't. I'll be waiting in the car outside. As Izuku exited the house, he stopped by a room he recognized as his own, untouched by the looks of it. He looked around as memories flashed through his mind. But most of them, if not all of them, were memories better left forgotten. He entered the car and waited until his phone rang. Noting was Yuki. Master, Yuki started, I assume everything went well? Yes, Yuki, they have, Izuku said softly. Did you prepare the guest room as requested? Yes, Master, and little Eri helped out too, Yuki said. When will be arriving? I'll be there in about 30 minutes, Izuku said. Actually, make it 35. I have to stop by somewhere. And could you make something good to eat? What would you like to eat? Yuki questioned. I want to eat some soup. I would like some beefsteak with some rice, Izuku said, and don't forget the miso. Understood, master, Yuki said, rolling her eyes. And here I thought you were eating out. I was eating out, Izuku said, but Mr. Midoriya left an awful taste in my mouth. Yuki sighed as the call ended, leaving Izuku to his thoughts, but they were interrupted by the car door opening. Took you long enough, Izuku stated. Did you get everything you need? Yep, Miyuki said. And what about you? Izuku questioned with an awkward silence. Mom. Inko nodded her head as her eyes were getting watery. On second thought, Izuku said, catching their attention, you can ride the car, I'll go by foot. Izuku gave the signal to the driver, and as soon as the car was at a safe distance, Izuku made his old home explode, as a single teardrop fell. As painful memories started to catch on fire, erasing them from Izuku's mind. And after a moment of silence, Izuku made his way home, not before stopping by the convenience store to get some chocolate. Izuku entered his house, and he sat at the table, as food was still not ready. Where are our guests? Yuki questioned. Did you do something to them? Our guests will be arriving by car, Izuku said. I took the liberty to use the Shoe Leather Express. Is there a problem? No, Yuki shrugged off. I thought you wanted to connect with your mother and sister. I don't know, Izuku started. There's a part of me that does, but the other part doesn't. Where's Eri? Eri is in her room, but master, if I may, Yuki stated, I believe you're overthinking things. How'd you figure that? Izuku said, feeling a bit offended by that statement. Have you put into consideration their feelings? Yuki said. A mother reuniting with her long-lost child, thought to be dead. That stirs up a lot of emotions, especially if they were loved. What do you want me to do? Izuku said, feeling lost. I don't know what to do. Izuku, Yuki said, as she comforted him. There is an easier way. I know, Izuku said, smiling. Once they get here, send my mom to my office. I'm going to take a quick shower. Just being near that man makes me feel dirty. After some time, the doorbell rang. Eri went to open the door expecting to see Izuku, but not finding him. Where is he? Eri said, turning to Yuki. Did something happen? He was upstairs this entire time, Yuki said. Why don't you bring the lady to Master's office? You mean the room I'm not supposed to go in? Eri questioned with a pouty face. Why did he tell me that he was here? Don't worry about it, Yuki said. Don't forget to tell him that food is almost ready. After a while, they reached the door in question, and Eri started to knock. There is a lady here, Eri said bluntly, and food is almost ready. Can we come in? No need, Izuku said, opening the door. Here's some chocolate. We'll be down in a little bit. Why don't you run along? Okay, Eri said. Can I eat the chocolate now? Go ahead, Izuku said, but you better make sure to eat everything on your plate. Got that? Eri nodded as she enjoyed her piece of chocolate. Kids, am I right? Izuku said awkwardly. I hope I wasn't that bad when I was her age. No, you weren't, Inko said, holding her tears. If anything, you want to watch all my videos. The two chuckled, finding amusement in old memories until Inko's chuckles turned into sobs. I'm sorry, Inko started. I always dreamed about hugging my little Izuku and how he's right in front of me, but he's not the same little Izuku I remember. He's all grown up and handsome young man. Yeah, Izuku said, trailing off. I'm sorry about Hisashi. Don't be, Inko said, embracing her, said. I should have seen the signs. I believe we went through this on the phone, Izuku said. I already forgave you, so you don't have to bring it up. Inko couldn't hold her tears as she cried her poor heart out, and after a good amount of time, Inko managed to calm down. I heard what you said to Hisashi. Is it true? Inko questioned. You have a girlfriend? I would love to meet her. Believe me when I say she shared the same sentiment. In fact, she wanted to meet you more than I did. Izuku started as the mood grew cold. But I'm sure you'll meet her once everything's taken care of. I'm so proud of you, Izuku, Inko said. I'm so grateful to the gentleman that took you in. He taught you well. Yeah, Izuku said, thinking what Seiichi taught him over the years, and his pearls of wisdom. He would have made a good father. Speaking of, Inko started, who is that little girl? Is she your daughter? No, Izuku said. I saved her from the Yakuza. They were experimenting on her. Izuku, Inko started softly. I may never understand what made you become Archer, but what I do know is that you do care for that little girl. So why pretend not to? Mom, Izuku started as it felt weird coming out of his mouth. People are better off being far from me, because there are people that will come after me. You are afraid? Is that it? Ingo questioned. You are afraid to have people around you, because they might be targeted in your stead? No, Izuku said, as his feelings were all jumbled up. I mean, yes. Then what about your girlfriend? Inko questioned. She's still with you, right? Yes, Izuku said as he was finding it hard to answer. I mean, no. Izuku, you can talk to me, Inko said, placing her hand on his shoulder, feeling her son's pain. Tell me what's wrong. I want to help. I'm afraid, okay? Izuku admitted. I don't want to lose people I care about. I already lost a lot already. What do you mean? Inko questioned. I'm afraid I'm not following. Mom, Izuku said as he gathered his thoughts. I had a girlfriend. She died. And that part of me that you used to know died with her. And what you see now is nothing more than a husk of a broken person desperate enough to do anything for a chance to bring her back. Honey, I'm sorry to hear that, Inko started as she hugged him. It's natural to feel this way, especially after losing someone so dear. There's nothing to do. It's not like you can bring her back from the dead. I can, Izuku stated. All I need is more time to locate what I need, and then I'll be rewarded with a wish which I will use to bring Ayumi back. Then all you have to do is keep up the hard work, Inko said, and keep everyone safe. What do you mean by that? Izuku questioned. If anything, they'd be safer away from me. I meant one of All Might's quotes. Inko started. I don't remember which one, but it's about doing better when you have something to protect. Kinda sus if you ask me, Izuku said bluntly. But I guess that has-been still has its uses. What do you mean, you don't like All Might anymore? Inko questioned. I thought you wanted to be strong like he was. Mom, I surpassed All Might a long time ago, Izuku said, and the USJ proved it. As their talk was nearing its end, Eri knocked on the door to tell them that the food was getting cold, and for the first time in a while, he felt better. As they all ate properly, this time, Izuku went back to his study, as he thought about the events what happened earlier that day, as well as earlier in his life. Maybe his mother was right. Maybe that was the difference between him and the All Might that inspired him as a child. Maybe deep down, he did give up. Izuku shook his head, getting that thought out of his mind, but in the silence of his study, those thoughts intruded again. Out of annoyance, he lit a cigarette, and after his first puff, a soft knock could be heard from the door. Come on in, Eri, Izuku said while he was looking outside the window. What's wrong, can't sleep? It's me? Miyuki said, sounding embarrassed. Sorry to disturb you while you were in here. Oh, it's you, Izuku said, sounding a bit disappointed. What can I do for you at this hour? So, Miyuki muttered, embarrassed. So, was everything that was said true? You need to be more specific, Izuku said. What do you want to know? The thing that you said to Dad, Miyuki started, and everything else he did to me, was that all true? Miyuki, I'm going to say it clearly, so you can understand. Izuku said, taking a deep breath. Yes, Dad drugged you, he raped you, he had so much planned for you to do, and trust me, they weren't good. I see, Miyuki said, trailing off. And what about you? What about me? Izuku asked, confused. Did you really strip me naked in the infirmary? Miyuki questioned. Oh yeah, I did, Izuku said bluntly. At that time, I had to find out the drug, so I inspected everything. If you were mad about that, I apologize. I'm not mad, Miyuki stated. I'm curious, between 1 and 10, how would you rate my body? Come again? Izuku said, raising an eyebrow. What do you mean by that? What I mean to say is that I don't see you as my brother, Miyuki confessed. I kinda had a thing for you. I already asked the girls for tips, and then you turn out to be my brother. It's not my fault, Izuku stated. I knew it was you from day one. Then why the hell were you about to kiss me today? Miyuki questioned, embarrassed. I just said to play along. As you already know, I didn't. I merely whispered in your ear, Izuku said, a bit irritated. If anything, I was simply teasing. I want compensation, Miyuki said, pouting. For what? Dad took your first time, Izuku said, irritated. If anything, you should have asked him for compensation, not me. And you killed him, Miyuki stated. How did the saying go? The death of the father goes to the son? Fine, I get it. Here, Izuku said, giving her a coupon. With that coupon, I'll do any one thing as long as you shut up. For real? Miyuki questioned. Any one thing? Yes, even though I'm about to regret it, Izuku said, annoyed. As long as I'm able to do it, I will do it. And then we're even. So think about it carefully. Okay, Miyuki said, walking towards the door. I'll think about it and I'll let you know. As soon as Miyuki left, Izuku felt that he was trapped in his own home, wondering what she wanted him to do. To be continued. That's it for today's video. If you enjoyed, leave a like, comment down below. If you're new to the channel, consider subscribing for more. Turn on the bell notification to be updated so you never miss a video. That said, peace out.